Well, I think all people have heard this spiel from their doctors about statins. Trust your doctor's advice. There is clear medical evidence for many patients. Statins can assist in reducing stroke and heart attack. Well, actually, no. As far as heart attack, no, definitely not. As far as assisting in reducing stroke, yes. Now, there are side effects to statin drugs. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get into a couple things on this that most people probably do not know because they prescribe statin drugs like candy in the medical profession. I'm not a doctor, but I'm very well read. Been reading probably more about this. You see, the incentive for me is I've seen what happened to a number of my family members, and that has made very strong incentive for me to learn medical because I cannot trust everything from the profit orientated medical. So me being not a doctor, I can easily put out a video about a cat walking around outside and having some food versus giving you this information, and whatever I make on this video, fine, whatever. But one thing that's a side effect of statin drugs can be not always dementia. See, one of the things, well, you know obviously that statin drugs are lower the cholesterol in the body, but cholesterol is very vital to the body's function, especially the mind, the brain. When you lower cholesterol too much and it becomes lower in the brain, you will have artificially created in your body, I'll say artificially because it could be reversed fairly easily, dementia. Cholesterol is required by the brain for proper brain function, and a lot of times seniors are getting this forgetfulness, or maybe they get a touch of dementia and they're thinking, well, I'm just getting old. But it could very well be your statin drugs that your doctor prescribed you. Now, I'm not going to tell you not to take statin drugs, but I'm going to tell you this. One thing you can do to counteract the problem of dementia is to take coconut oil. This is actually research that's been known since the 1800s, and it was popularly used all the way up through the 1920s. Kind of got more out of vogue in the medical profession when the pharmaceutical industry came on a lot stronger in the 1930s and 1940s. But it was a high ketonic diet, in other words, raising the ketones in the brain. Ketones, Ketones. Now, the way this works, I'm not exactly sure the chemical, details of what's going on in the brain with this, but it has been known to work very well. It actually has reversed dementia and Alzheimer's in patients, especially when that dementia and Alzheimer's been brought upon by the administration and prescription of statin drugs, especially in seniors. Now, a lot of times people are thinking, well, it's because they're a senior, that's why they're getting a little forgetful. Now, a lot of times it's the statin drugs. Cholesterol is actually vital for the body function. It's amazing that Eskimos, or I don't know if there's another name for that, a proper word for that, but it's commonly, most people know people of Eskimos, they'll have cholesterol over 300, and they have little or virtually no heart disease. So cholesterol is not really the culprit in heart disease many times. Now, coconut oil though does have many other benefits besides raising the ketones in the brain. It's also even has it's a type of uh, a medicine actually used in Polynesian countries, Malaysia, Philippines. It's actually the high coconut diet, which has a lot of coconut oil. It has made Filipinos and Malaysians actually somewhat resistant to the malaria virus. Without this coconut oil in their diet, they are just as susceptible to the malaria virus as people in the West. A lot of people don't know that. So it does have some side benefits, not to say that it cures all kinds of disease, but it does help boost your immunity to some ailments in minor ways. So it's got side benefits like that. Now, they used this back in the 1800s and all the way through the 1920s with great success for people with dementia, people with seizures, and they called it the high ketonic diet, raising the ketones in the brain. It actually consisted of high-fat milks, high-fat cheeses, butters, and coconut oil being the most important of it. I don't know why they don't prescribe this, but there's no money in prescribing nature. That's 99.99% of the problem with Western medicine. There's no money in prescribing nature. They'll tell you eat 3 balanced meals and all this kind of garbage. Now, the other thing is when you're taking statin drugs, it lowers the CoQ10 in the body. CoQ10 is coenzyme Q10. It was actually first isolated in Japan. They were the ones that discovered this. Often it's nicknamed the heart vitamin. So when you're taking statin drugs, it's lowering the CoQ10 in your body. And that actually can be very detrimental to your heart health. So, to claim that it's heart healthy to take statin drugs is actually incorrect. Now, here's something that's extremely interesting. In the country of Japan, where CoQ10 was actually first isolated, if a doctor prescribes statin drugs for patients, it's required by law for them to also prescribe CoQ10 as a supplement at the same time, because the statin drugs will lower the CoQ10 in the body. Now, CoQ10 is also part of an ingredient that goes in raising your ATP. ATP being the ingredient that works with the mitochondria of the cells for energy. So it's heart health, it's energy, it's sometimes referred to as the heart vitamin. But virtually every single doctor that prescribes statin drugs in the United States never tells you about taking CoQ10, never tells you about taking coconut oil to possibly counter-effect the lowering of, the ketones in the brain, which is due from, lowering the cholesterol too much. You could actually have an artificial onset. I call it an artificial onset because it's not you actually getting older this is being caused by in many cases. It's actually the fact that the person took statin drugs and the cholesterol in their brain was so lowered so much and so rapidly that it created a type of dementia and Alzheimer's. So the way to reverse that, if it's due to statin drugs, you can reverse it almost immediately with coconut oil. The dangers to your heart of taking statin drugs are real because it lowers the CoQ10 in the body. CoQ10 is aptly named, sometimes it's nicknamed the heart vitamin that's so essential to the heart. So you take statin drugs, it lowers CoQ10 in the body. That's why in Japan, I'm repeating myself, in Japan they actually are forced by law to prescribe CoQ10 as a supplement anytime they prescribe statin drugs. So this is for your information only. I don't sell anything like I think I presented. This was like a generic, I don't know who brand this is, a CoQ10. Sometimes people ask me where I buy vitamins from, and this is not a plug. Just sometimes people ask me. I go for Puritan's Pride because they've been in the USA a long time. They test them here. Good prices. Swanson Vitamins and Vitacost, and there's other places. But I noticed supplements and coconut oil can vary in price by multiples of price value. Like in other words, something could be $5 and something could be $25, and they're exactly the same thing. So, caveat emptor, buyer beware. That's just, where I buy my stuff. I think there's other good sources. But everybody, pretty much everybody that's retired, I'm not on statin drugs at all. I mean, I take coconut oil every day. I take CoQ10 every day, blah, blah, blah. It's in my Nature's Way whole food vitamins called Alive. It's automatically in there. But, I just find it ludicrous that, our medical profession today in the United States is becoming so profit-orientated. They're leaving out some of the simplest things. And actually, CoQ10 and coconut oil are probably would do more to improve your health than statin drugs by far. So, I don't know. There's something to this cholesterol racket game that's going on, in my opinion. And it's something I really don't worry about, to tell you the truth, because there's good fats and bad fats, and sometimes the good fats might raise your cholesterol. But one of the biggest problems we have actually in the United States is processed foods, processed fats, nitrogenated vegetable oil, things are, you know, we take the worst kind of fats in our diet versus taking the good fats like cod liver oil, hemp oil, flax oil, fish oil, salmon oil, borage oil, and those, and coconut oil, of course. Uh, it's a matter of, we don't do those type of fats. We have some of the worst garbage going, and that's really what's contributing to our poor heart health. It's not that we take in too many fats. It's actually that we're taking in the processed garbage fats that are on sale in your supermarket, and they're also in your foods when you go to restaurants and fast foods and everything. They're fried. If they're frying everything in coconut oil, it wouldn't matter how much they deep fried it, but they don't do that because it's more money. So, just some word to the wise here, some basically like a public service announcement. And I know there's some people becoming aware of these things, but most people still aren't. So, just for your information only.